we go. All right, people are pouring in
Oh, great.
all across the internet. So, how's everybody doing today?
Good.
Great.
Good.
Good.
It's Friday, you know, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's Friday.
So, does it feel like any other day at this point, right? So,
Yeah, I know. It's fun.
Friday,
Sunday,
Monday, Saturday.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Loving the
I've
Neil.
had to get up and get showered and dressed like 3 days in a row. It's been a bit of a struggle.
Right?
Yeah.
Put on makeup, how to wear nice clothes, you know. It's,
I gotta check in for your flight message. And so we were supposed to be going to market. Obviously, I canceled the flight quite some time ago, but it sent me into a little bit of a panic. Like, oh no, I know I canceled that flight.
Well, the good news is you have a lot of flexibility as it relates to the airlines right now. So
right.
Yeah.
$68 to Chicago from Los Angeles.
How much?
Yeah.
$68.
Wow.
I also found $48, but it was a rent.
Wow.
That's
that's,
I'm not going, but
No, right. And you're not going to get on the plane. It's like gas prices are like, you know, $1.40 at this point down here in North Carolina, but you know, where are you going? So you don't need gas. So
yeah.
great.
All right. We're going to go ahead and get started. We are recording this for those that have that question has come up. I'm going to just kind of walk you through one thing. 1 second here. Let me just go to this. All right. Let me just share my screen with you all real quick. So welcome everyone to, my name is Neil McKenzie. I head up marketing here for Universal, and we've been kind of running our virtual market experience for folks. You can access everything that we've been doing here on our virtual market site, and we have some great 360 walkthrough tours of our new products. We get some video content of our new products, and then this session is being recorded, and you'll be able to find it all as well as any other session today under our educational events, and you'll be able to rewatch that if you miss anything. We are all at home and some of our internet connections vary, so sometimes it may seem as though we're catching up, but usually the recordings come out pretty clean. So if you do miss something, they should be all here in its entirety. And then on Monday, we have our new special order upholstery launch coming to you. So we want to make sure people can sign in on Monday and check that out. So if you have any questions about any of this, just go to universalfurniture.com and then click on the virtual market side of things. So appreciate Diane, you organizing this great panel. And I'll let you kind of introduce the team, and I will go silent. So I'll let you take it away.
Okay, great. Well, welcome everybody. We're really excited for this panel. We have such a great group. We spoke on Wednesday and we had such a great conversation then. We could have just recorded that and sent that over to you, but it's much more fun to do it this way. So this is the remote designer, and we're talking to designers Shannon Ggem from Ggem Design, Laura Thurman from Thurman Design Studio, say hello, and Amy Leferink from Interior Impressions, and to talk about how they're managing their businesses while everybody's sort of in the under shelter-in-place orders, because obviously when you're an interior designer, face-to-face is often really important, and you need to be able to go into people's homes. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what are the tools you use to do that, how you've shifted your communications with your clients, and how you're making sure that in progress jobs are still moving forward, and how you're still connecting with clients that will want to be doing these types of things once we get the all clear and everybody is so sick of their living rooms and their bedrooms and their dining rooms because we're spending so much time at home. So Shannon, I'm going to start with you. What I'd like you guys to do is just give us a little bit of background about your business, and then we'll go right into the questions.
Hi, I'm Shannon Ggem of Ggem Design Co. in Los Angeles, and I specialize in whole home remodel and full furnish, often of architecturally significant or historic homes. And I have worked all across the US from Los Angeles, so I have some practices in place that are helping me at this time. And then I have a lot of deep resources and bridges to share with people so that they feel empowered to do that in their practices now.
That's great. It's great. Amy?
I'm Amy Leferink with Interior Impressions, and we're in the Midwest in Minnesota, the Twin City area. And we have a mixture of new home construction, so custom design homes, large remodeling, and then home refresh or smaller projects, as well as some commercial. So we have a little bit of a diversification, and we also have a window treatment company. We're a Hunter Douglas window coverings company as well. So we're kind of have our hands in all sorts of things. So that's
And
our
Laura.
business.
Hi, I'm Laura Thurman, owner of Thurman Design Studio in Nashville, Tennessee. And we are primarily a residential interior design firm ranging from new construction whole home to smaller refreshes and also new builder developments and investment properties. So it's similar to my colleagues. We all do a little bit of everything.
That's great. Laura, I'm going to start with you again. So tell me a little bit about how this crisis is impacting your business.
So I'm lucky in that I've always worked from home. It's sort of evolved as we've moved. And so this whole, shelter in place doesn't feel that different. I mean, I might have a little more cabin fever than normal, but I think it's just made me really focus in on prioritizing getting things done on the back end of my business that I don't normally have the time to do. And so to really hone in on those things and to keep in constant communication with the clients, even if there are projects we don't have with them right now, we've had them in the past to show that we care and that we're connecting with them to see how they and their families are doing. So I feel the crisis. I mean, I feel we all do. We feel it all around us. But for me, in my place of dwelling, I'm still going to work, right? I'm still here in my studios where I'm at right now. I have a huge space, resource library. I have what I need. So I'm grateful that that hasn't taken a huge hit.
Okay. Shannon, how about you? How is this impacting your business?
I had fewer clients than I would have liked to going into our safer at home order here in California. And that has since corrected, which is great. I have I'm full. So I found that what I really was lacking was I hadn't been explaining my service offerings well enough to my general sphere of influence. So my community, my social media audience, my friends, colleagues, and past clients. I wasn't really telling the story of my business well enough. And then when I realized, things are changing, I needed to make that change immediately. And so luckily I did.
That's great. That's great. Amy, and what about you?
So I think the biggest feeling of impact that we're having is that we do have a design team, and I have a showroom that we all work out of. And so during this stay-at-home order, I've been primarily the only person coming into the office, or if one of the other designers needs to come in to use the showroom for supplies, then we'll take turns. So then I'll stay home. So we're no two people are in the office at the same time or in the showroom. So it's been weird. We're really all missing each other and missing that team environment. But on the client project front, we've been busy because we do a lot of new construction and large remodeling, and that those projects that we already have are continuing on. But where I'm mostly concerned is what's going to happen in 3 weeks or a month from now, depending on where things are going. And the builders that we work with have said that, a lot of clients that were about ready to sign the dotted line and build a new, $2 million home, they're like, okay, well, let's wait a little bit, or let's hold off a month or two. So we're kind of nervous about what's going to come. Are we going to have this lag of time where we have nothing or not a lot? So we're trying to be creative in our offerings and ways that we can work with clients and other diversified projects. So just in the event that does happen.
So have any of you been able to access or take advantage of the CARES Act stimulus loans?
I applied for the EDIL, the economic injury, and it didn't, it's in the washing machine, basically, they tell me. So I was number 1039 on hold, and it only took 38 minutes to get to a person, but they couldn't, they were like, we see that you applied, but
we just can't get anything else. How about you, Laura? Have you applied, or have you have
Yeah,
any?
it's the same thing that Shannon said. I didn't check to see like where I am in line, but I know we applied and we just haven't really heard anything yet. So I have a feeling it's dried up. That's what I think. That's what my gut tells me, is that it's already been dispersed and, you know.
We were notified
Well,
that the funds ran out too.
right? So.
Yeah.
Yes. So we talked to retailers this morning who said basically the same thing, that they're kind of everybody's kind of in that waiting game right now, trying to figure out what's going to happen next. So tell me a little bit about how this, so you're all working, you all have projects on, that you're working on. How are you changing the way you work to deal with your clients? Because obviously it's a lot harder to be face-to-face. You don't want to be going in somebody's home if they're still living there. You may not want to be as in close contact with your contractors. How are you, how are you communicating? How are you doing this now so that you can keep your projects on track, but not have to be at close range with people? And Amy, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. Well, for the projects that do require some walkthroughs, like we have electrical walkthroughs and on-site checks for new construction. So in the event that I do have to go on that. I'm the only one in my team that's doing those visits. My other designer actually is pregnant right now, so we're being especially careful with her. So I'll wear an N95 mask and that I got from a painter, which is great. And I'll wear that to go on site, or if it does require kind of a face-to-face visit just to keep things moving, we try to just limit those as much as possible. And I will wear a mask and gloves. But we're doing a lot of Zoom calls. We're doing a lot of packaging up of samples and product and dropping them off at their doorstep and sending a presentation online that they can view while we're doing the Zoom call. So just trying to be creative and keep things moving along as much as possible. But we're not able to do a lot of installation. So a lot of our projects right now are waiting on those final touches, the accessories. I've got a back room full of stuff ready to go, anxiously waiting to find a home. So as soon as the order is lifted, we'll try to get those projects finished up and installed. So.
And how about for you, Shannon? How are you connecting with your customers and sharing project ideas and all of that?
The same. I started a series of Facebook Lives where I'm just offering free consults to people so that my sphere of influence can become familiar with how the online process works. Because I think there's some nervousness around that, like, ooh, am I gonna do it wrong, or is it gonna be tech heavy or whatever? So that's been helpful, and that's helped me to get some further contracts. But definitely I'm utilizing the Zoom, and then dual sampling has been happening. So I order a sample for myself, and then another sample gets directly mailed to the client, and then I ask them just to throw it all in one box, and then we look at it all together on the Zoom call.
That's great. And Laura, how about for you? How are you communicating those types of things, and are there any special tools you're using?
So Zoom, yes, as everybody else said, I use like Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator to create our presentation board. So I'll send them a few samples, and then we'll do the Zoom where I'm screen sharing and I'm, walking through the floor plan, walking through the design. And I mean, there was one situation where we had a client, we already started, and they sort of changed the phase that they wanted to start with. And so in a perfect world, I would have gone back and gathered a few more measurements to just like refresh my mind with that area that was supposed to be phase 3, which is now phase 1. And so I had to ask the client, I had to just kind of bullet point it out and say, okay, can you please measure from here to here, and just kind of give them little bullet points. And it felt kind of weird because I feel like that's my job. That's what I should be doing. But they want to continue the design process. And so they know it's no big deal. We'll get it to you. So they got me what I needed, and then I'm able to make those adjustments and keep moving. So it kind of just depends, on what phase you're at with the project.
Well, it's funny. One of our questions from our audience is about how do you gather accurate homeroom dimensions and things like that when you can't be in the room and do it yourself. So Laura, with you, do you trust this client to give you accurate measurements, and how do you make sure that it's correct?
Yeah, this client I do. Yeah, this client I do because he's kind of like a low-key carpenter. So we worked together before, so he can do some things. But what I'm starting to do is this whole pandemic has kind of opened up my eyes to what are more tools I can give my client in the event that something like this were to happen, or even for e-design clients where I'm never going to see them most likely, is to have my videographer come into the studio with me, and I'm going to do like a demo video and explain, like, this is how I want you to measure the window, like from here to here, you know. So so I do give them those tools, but it's not in the most like pretty professional way. So I want to work on getting some of that buttoned up to where I can put it in an email. Here's a quick video. This is how I'm describing to you to measure. And I mean, for the most part, unless it's something I just feel super uncomfortable taking their measurement, I feel like in general, if I just give them some pointers, they can do it, and they can do it on Zoom. Like, we can do it together, so I can see that they're doing it the right way.
Shannon, are you finding the same thing? So
I just so lucked out. I booked a client who she's wanting to be ahead of the return to work. So she doesn't want to end up in the world where there are no contractors available, because there's going to be some real pent up need here. So she wants shop drawings for cabinet drawings, but that's, as you know, I can't rely on these 15-year-old plans necessarily. So luckily, she just told me that her daughter is a UCLA architecture student. And I was like, well, I'll trust her CADs. So we're going to start there, but we're still going to have an on-site measure after. I just think for custom cabinetry, I really need to. But if it were like a standard size sofa, I would be okay, especially if I'm doing it with Zoom. And there are so many measuring guides available. I know the eDesign Tribe has a measuring guide. There's all sorts of resources, community resources in our interior design community.
That's great. So like, that's great when you're in a project, but if you're still trying to connect with customers that maybe were considering a project, or people that that you would have projects with if this wasn't all going on, what are some of the tools that you're using and some of the ways that you're communicating with them? And Amy, we're going to start with you this time.
Okay. Well, I think, for the designers that are listening in that are trying to figure out, how do I keep the revenue coming in? And again, with us, we've been busy, but just in the expectation that things may change, and just to cover ourselves, we have decided to offer e-design services, which we weren't doing in the past. And so I guess some of the tools, as you said, that we would recommend is having a measuring guide set up. And then if you're going to offer e-design services, which we're doing now, having that thought out in advance, because it's not like you can just throw a social media post out on Instagram and say, okay, we're going to do e-design now starting today. And you have no idea how you're going to do that and what the rules are. And, are you going to offer products that are just only retail where they have to order themselves? Or are you going to try to sell some of the products that you carry with trade? So, all of those things to just really think about in advance. So we put a lot of time and thought into what we were going to do, and we came up with some prepackaged or some set things for like home office design or outdoor patio design, where we checked with our vendors like Universal and picked out products, like the postcard writing table desk, and certain products that we knew were in stock and available. And then we had those ready to go, so that it was a little bit of, time up front, but knowing that when somebody called us for a home office e-design, we already had this sort of catalog of things available. So those things are really helpful to just, be prepared, think of ways that you can diversify your business with the current limitations.
Mm-hmm. So. And you're bringing in the e-design now. So is this something that you always have had in your business, or is it something that you did for this purpose and you'll continue to use it going forward?
Yeah, we did not do it before at all. And it was one of those things we thought about, but it was like, we're trying really to focus on larger projects and not have like 25 small projects. But in this time period, we've really come to enjoy it. And it's a nice way for clients, especially past clients. And so I would recommend, I think Shannon on the call the other day, and Laura, we were talking about how just reaching out to past clients that you've worked with before, and that, they have that living room or that home office that you never got to before. And the best clients to do an e-design project with is, you know, they know you've been in their home, you know their home, they trust you, you already have a relationship. So it's easy to just say, hey, I can do that for you now while we're home. But I think we'll continue to do it. And I think remote projects, so we can really work anywhere in the world with these tools. Now that we know how to do it and we have the resources and kind of have it set up, I would love to continue to do more of these e-design projects. Wouldn't it be fun to design, you know, a condo in Italy or something from the Midwest? It'd be great, but we'll see what happens.
Laura, you're shaking your head. So are you doing e-design now also?
Yeah, I mean, I second a lot of what Amy's saying about preparation. You can't just be, you know, a full service design firm and be like, I'm going to do e-design. It's like, well, what does that mean? And what does that look like?
Right.
So the contract is going to be different, and make sure you explain it clearly on your website. Yeah, just get your systems in line. And I sort of offered it, but kind of not really. Like, I don't think I, even myself, had a clear understanding. Is it all going to be to the trade? Am I solely just going to provide inspiration and a shopping list from just regular retailers and the client take it from there? So I think you have to really know your strengths and understand your time management and just kind of get it set up to where it's actually producing income as opposed to just taking away.
Right, take your time, right.
Yeah, you know, I think another thing I did was, so we have lots of info. I mean, we all have lots of information on our website about us and the business, but I felt like there were a lot of inquiries now that everyone is home and staring at their ugly living room or whatever it is. And so beyond just my friendly email, I was like, well, what like tool can I give them to kind of entice and explain maybe our process a little better? So I worked on creating like a PDF document that just, you know, is really beautiful. It looks like a little magazine, and it's really like a welcome document that kind of just describes the process from consultation all the way to the end. And, you know, you flood it with beautiful photos and great, you know, text and whatnot. But that was a good tool. So once they first reach out, we talk on the phone and they're going to go mull it over, I can email them that PDF and they can kind of review it. And it's just another thing to kind of keep me and my firm in the forefront of their mind. So that's kind of a tool that I started implementing and doing a little more.
And which tool is that? If you don't mind my asking.
So I created it in InDesign, and there's all kinds of
gotcha.
templates. If you're not super graphically inclined or really savvy, you can go to a website called creativemarket.com.
Yes.
And it is an incredible resource full of all kinds of graphic templates from literally anything from postcards to magazines to newsletters, everything is there. So you can take that and manipulate it and make it your own and have these sort of, you know, incentives or tools you want to add to your website or email to the client or add to your newsletter. That's another thing we've been doing, is just trying to like keep content fresh in the newsletter of, you know, and more inspiring, hopeful things. I mean, we're all inundated with like coronavirus emails like every day. I'm like, okay,
wash your hands. Yeah.
Yeah, like what else can we talk about? So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to keep our newsletters, you know, beautiful and inspired, and you know, share solutions and things that people can do while they're in their home, not just wash their hands, you know.
And what about you? Are you offering the e-design, and how are you communicating that to your customers?
I am, and I want to talk about the tech tools that we already had in place to leverage, but also there are tools that people can use today. They might find that some of their software and stuff has the capability, they're just not aware of it yet. So I use Chief Architect to draw my floor plans and to build the model. So that helps because then clients can sort of envision the size and layout, because it makes 3D views as you draw.
Nice.
So that's a very handy software, and that's available monthly. And then also, I use a platform, a back-end software called MyDoma, and they have a package capability where you can create a package that you can sell like Amy's. I'm so inspired by both Amy and Laura with I'm like, oh my God, when am I going to do this? I'm going to do it on Sunday. I want to do it all. So I just think it's so excellent to be able to offer service. But my great news is that I think that interior designers in general innately have these skills to be of service to their clients right now, and to help vendors sell product, and to earn some money at this time to cover costs, because I think almost every interior designer in the world has the ability to envision a space that is not there. And then we have an ability to work in 2D. So because you measure, or the contractor measures, or whoever measures, and then you work from the plan. Well, this is the same, except someone else is providing you the measure. And that's why those measuring guides like they have at eDesign Tribe or other places that are offering that are really helpful, or doing it on the Zoom call. And then the coolest thing I think is, because we know our lines, I can confidently match make the client to the vendor. So I know that my clientele loves Universal. So I know that if I put that in a package, I'm not going to make a mismatch that's going to be a pain point. But it's because of being able to sell furniture without people having to see it all the time. We all do that all the time. So
Right.
This isn't too huge a leap. So though there are some steps you need to take to set up those practices to make sure you're protected from liability and things, it's also very innately part of your daily flow, whether you have realized that or not. You're already doing work on spaces that don't exist, selling furniture that people can't sit in and touch. So you have the ability, you can do it, and you can put it together.
That's great. And before we go on to the next question, and I'm going to stay with you for a minute, Shannon, we have a question about the site that Laura mentioned before. That was Creative Market, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I got that out there. So it's creativemarket.com. But Shannon, so sticking with you, I have a question for you based on what we're talking about. You're talking about your vendors. So how can your vendors help you? One of the things we talked about on Wednesday was that 2D, you can do everything in 2D, but you also have tools where you can show a client something in 3D. But what would really help you would be 3D, like 3D models of furnishings that you're going to put in that. So talk a little bit about how your vendors with that and beyond that can help you with these clients. What services and what things can they offer you that are going to make it easier for you to do your job the right way?
Thank you. I want to sell product. So it's so awesome when there are 3D models available in either the 3D warehouse of SketchUp or specifically in Chief Architect. A lot of designers I know are using Chief Architect. And when brands have their models in that software, it becomes like the visual equivalent of an earworm. Clients can't get that visual out of their head. So it's almost hard to sell anything else. So you put a scaled, light fixture, but it happens to be of a particular brand. Well, the client's like, no, this doesn't look right. No, this doesn't look right. And then you show them what it was actually in the model, and they're like, that's it. And they don't even realize how far it seeps into their psyche. So the 3D models would be really helpful. And also offering to send samples to clients is so useful at this time. So if you can just send us both samples, that is just so great. And then any kind of shipping stuff, but I think Amy had some depth on that.
Amy, so we'll go to you and see so how can your vendors help you in this situation where, you have limited interaction with your clients, you might not be able to get into the spaces. How can your vendors help you to make sure that jobs are completed on time and to the customer satisfaction?
Absolutely. I feel like I'm talking to our sales reps more frequently now than we have in the past, and utilizing them to really help us to source. They're kind of bored right now. A lot of them are calling a lot because they're like, we can't come and see you, so we're calling. So a couple of them had mentioned too, just think of me as your design assistant. If you're sourcing for a project and you need some help finding some things, call me. I would love to do this. I would love to help you. So that I'm like, gosh, and they're free. So who hadn't thought about doing that in the past? It's one of those things we really didn't utilize as much as we should. So that's been really nice, just to really get to work with them more closely and have them help us out with sourcing. And then as Shannon mentioned, having the ability, even if it's just the ability to go onto a website for custom furnishings where you can apply the fabric of their selection to the piece. Some of the furniture companies that we carry direct do that, and some don't. And it is so helpful when you can actually show them the piece that they selected with the furniture, with the fabric they selected. So the more we can model and the more visuals we can provide for our clients, the better.
That's great. How about you, Laura? Are you what kind of tools do you need, or what kind of support do you need from your vendors? And of course, what about like this virtual market that Universal Furniture is doing is a great way to see new products that are coming out, great way to see all these other things. How is that helping you too?
Yeah, I mean, I announced the Universal Virtual Market on like several of the business Facebook pages I'm on, and people were like super thrilled and were so excited. Everybody said how good of a job it was, you know, how well they did it. I think it's helpful, like not to only just pan through a showroom, but to have someone talking about the product and explaining it more in detail, how it's made, the finishes, the color, because it's going to be a little different in person than on camera. So kudos, Neil, good job, in Universal team. But I think drop shipping is helpful right now. And I think for vendors, if there's an account that you really want and you don't meet the minimum, I find that some vendors have reduced that minimum right now because everyone's just hoping to sell the product. And I think that's helpful. I mean, you know, if I'm obsessed with this one coffee table and I just don't, you know, see anything else I'm feeling, but I really want that. In the past, maybe you wouldn't be able to get it, or you'd have to go through other avenues, and now you can get it immediately. And, you know, I think we all love to do custom and intricate and really beautiful things, but at a time like this, if you need something quick, I like to have a kind of a Rolodex of vendors that have most of their stuff in stock. And so, as Amy said, Universal is perfect for that. Like if I'm going to put together a little packet, or, you know, someone just needs a few pieces to refresh their space, to know that it's in stock and I can get it pretty much in a week or less, that's perfect. So I think drop shipping and the minimums, you know, vendors assessing that right now, what are the minimums, should they be, can they reduce them, are helpful to all the designers out there.
So what, we have a question from the audience, you know, what tools can be used to create these custom upholstery pieces or these custom finished pieces? Do you know of tools that vendors can use, or do you know of vendors that are using these tools that would be good examples of this?
I mean, I know it's a huge investment for brands to do that. I do know that. I mean, you're talking about every SKU you have that can be customized. You need to have a visual of it with every single fabric that can go on it. So, I mean, I've never used a software for that specifically, but I know that there are several manufacturers that do that pretty successfully, but it's something that has to be like, you know, done on the back end.
It's really on our side, on the manufacturing side, having those tools available for people to, I know, lean on. I know we're making that investment with our special order upholstery, and it's a considerable investment when you think about, you know, 200 plus frames, 400 plus fabrics, 50, you know, leathers, and then add in, those are options times, then you add in things like nail head and different, you know, it gets kind of nuts pretty quickly. But at the same time, I think in particular right now, I think people being able to visualize something, the easier you can make it online, I think the more confidence everybody has in, you know, making that next step with a purchase. And I mean, you do it all the time with cars and shirts and other things. You never even see it. You just do it online and buy it, and it shows up at your door. And generally, most people feel pretty good about it. So.
Right. And that's great. So are we going to see that on Monday when you do the custom furnishings on Monday?
No, that part will come live in July.
Okay.
So you'll get a sense of what our options will be, but you'll be able to actually go on our site in July and play around with, you know, making it whatever you want to make it. So
that's great. Shannon, you were going to say something.
I wanted to say my click thing. First of all, Chief Architect and other comparable softwares allow you to change the material on anything. So if the core models were in there, that would be a workaround.
That's great.
But I do want to ask that vendors think about the amount of clicks it takes a designer to source their product. So if you tuck the dimensions under more info or whatever, that's harming. Don't do it. It takes time. And so sometimes I'll just go, oh, I can't. That's just too much. You know, because you can't open another window, and then if you can't drag it into your clipper for your Studio Webware or Mydoma or whatever you're using, all that makes it harder.
So we just got a response from our audience that said, "Yes, preach, Shannon." So that you're right on target with that. Somebody that's really really great. So let's talk about communication with your customers and how maybe it's changed a little bit between from before what you were working on and what you're doing now. So like on your social media and on your, you know, and in your communications with your customers, are you sending a different message? Are you keeping with the same message? Are you, I know everybody's sick of hearing wash your hands or wear your mask. So let's go from there. But so Amy, why don't we start with you? Is there something different that potential customers, people that you're just connected with on social media, what's the type of message that you're sending out now?
To our current clients, you mean?
It can be current
Or-
clients, it can be like on your social media, just so where you're connecting with people, what's the type of message that you're sending? Is it, are you still pitching services? Are you just trying to inspire people? Are you just, how are you managing that right now in an environment where people are kind of scared and
Right. Well, I think we're sending out a weekly blog. We have been, so that's something that's just part of our protocol. But we're really just trying to make sure that they're aware that we're still working, we're still open for business, and that we will work with them safely, and we're there to help. And we know that there are a lot of people with needs right now that are stuck at home, trying to work from home, trying to homeschool, trying to manage all this family, being on top of each other all day long. And so if we can help make things easier for them, more functional, that we're here and we're able to help. And we definitely are promoting that, and hoping that we can continue things with our clients, our current clients, as well as potential new clients. And then we do, with our current clients, I do a weekly project update. So every week I send them a project update as to where things are. So we're just in constant communication, even if there's a little gap.
that's great. Shannon, how about you? How are you? Oh, I'm reverberating here. How are you communicating with your clients? And is it in a different way? Like, is your voice a little bit different? Like, what are you doing with your clients? Just people that you're connected with all over, on social media and that type of thing. What's your message to people right now?
I'm really utilizing the video aspect because I want to make sure that, I don't know, I just feel like that's a connection that can't be replicated always on the phone. And like Amy, I'm using voice calls as well, where I hadn't always before. And I'm flexible. I don't care how people get in touch with me at this time. Often I'm like, please put your messages in our portal. And now I'm just like, whatever, text me, email me, call me, let's video, I don't care. And I've just completely torn off all the need to appear super polished on every single video, because it's just not, it just can't be. So if I'm walking the dogs and they want to talk about something, I'm going to answer, and we're going to video, and I'm going to be walking the dogs. That's just, it's just become a little bit more integrated into all day, everyday life.
Okay, that's great. Laura, how about you?
I think I'm just communicating, well, I'm tightening up my communication in that I want my message to be clear as to what we offer, and similar to Amy, that we're open, that we are taking on clients. And so, I mean, it's kind of like a back-ended response, but a lot of, I think, the communication that's going on as a result of me just kind of honing in and cleaning up house behind the scenes. So like the templates, like the contracts for e-design, like buttoning up the website and communicating. Now we offer whatever it is, now we're taking on smaller projects versus only larger projects. So I think it's a tone of like, inspire, because I want to still be inspired. I mean, I'm tired of looking at my bedroom too. Like, I want to redo. I'm like, what? I'm thinking of all these ideas to redo my own house. Right. So, like, I'm thinking, I feel the same way as well. Like, so to be inspired, but also just to like educate, try to give nuggets of, helpful information, whether it's, understanding color better and how that affects your mood. We did a blog post about bedrooms, because I feel like your bedroom should be this like sanctuary place of rest that really can be very healing, and everyone's focusing on health and wellness and all these things right now. So I say the angle and the voices of making sure our message of a firm is clear, the type of services we offer is clear, and then just provide inspirational content to our readers.
And what are your best, so for social media, obviously social media is so important to you guys as designers anyway. What, I would imagine you're seeing more and more traffic on your social media sites. Which ones are you most focused on? Shannon, we'll start with you.
Sure. My main platform is Instagram, and I really love it. And I've been using IGTV more than ever.
Okay.
It's a great view generator. They put it forward, I think, so you get a lot more views than I do out of my normal stories. But stories is a great platform because you are talking more casually. And I think people need to see the person behind the business a lot right now, That's a really important thing, to make sure that they know that you're a person. And also it's very reactive. The minute that changes came in the world, I was able to go across all my platforms and say, you know, I had a minimum posted. I lowered the minimum. I said, you know, I always say whole home. I'm not necessarily only doing whole home at this time, because I need to cover the costs of my business, and I need to stay really flexible and bouncy and resilient. So I love to do a single room. It's fabulous. So that's fun. So I offered that there, like in real time, immediately. It's a wonderful tool in that way. And we are the tour guides for people to get what they need.
Right.
And we're the matchmakers between them and the vendors. So I think we're offering an important service. It's a complicated service, and people really need it at this time. So it's great to be able to put it out there right away.
That's great. How about you, Amy? What how are you finding with your social media? What's working best for you, and kind of what are you doing for customers there, or your connections?
Well, I need to learn and take some tips from Shannon and Laura, because you guys are really good
girl,
on camera.
Shannon.
I'm the worst at doing video of myself. I'll do stories and things like that, but I never turn the camera toward myself. I hate it. I'll try it and then I delete it, and I'm like, no. But I need to just get over that. One of the things we're going to do is, and Instagram's kind of our main platform, but we use like Planoly to kind of set that up in advance, because it is a big time commitment. And so just doing our blog and our Planoly to get posts set up in advance has been really helpful, because there's never time during the week, it seems like. So I'll spend, you know, a Saturday or Sunday doing marketing stuff. But one of the things we're going to do right now too, and I stole the idea from Karen Wolf out of New Jersey, but she does like a design pop series, and we're going to start doing like maybe every other week, we're going to do a Zoom call like this, where we just offer free kind of information. And our first one's going to be on Paint 101. So talking about, you know, how do you paint? What kind of paint should you use? What, you know, should you use satin? Should you use flat? What colors are trendy? So we're just doing little freebie kind of ways for clients to interact with us, get some helpful information, and maybe, you know, dip their toes in and what we would be like to work with too, but also just get some value out there. So we're going to test the waters with that and see how that goes. And that'll be my little intro to being on camera.
Speaking of paint, one of our audience questions was, how do you communicate paint to a client online? Like, how do you let them know the right color and how it's going to look in their space? Do you have a solution to that, or is that just a...
Amy does.
Well,
Amy does, great.
I mean, you can order the samples and send the chips, you know, send large samples to the client. And then I love color. I think color is like the biggest transformative thing in design. And so I always encourage a client to sit with the paint sample and look at it as the day shifts. So what the color looks like on the wall, even if you just tape it up like in the morning versus as the sun starts to set, because it really does look different. And to always look at the color in like the darkest setting. So, you know, like in a corner where there's no light hits it. So you can see that's what the color will really look like at its purest, darkest form. And then when the sun is out, you can see how bright it is. So even when I do like consults, and I totally explain that to clients, like how to hold it upside down and look at the color, hold it against the wall and next to the window and see the color. So there are lots of ways to communicate and make sure a client feels confident. But the easiest way, Benjamin Moore, Sherwin-Williams, all of those, you can go online and order samples and just have them sent directly to your client's house.
That's great.
Yeah.
Somebody is asking if you use, Amy, if you use Planoly for social media posting?
Planoly, Planoly.
Okay.
And then Material Bank is another, I know it sounds like they're full right now, but if you can get on Material Bank, that is amazing, because you can order paint samples from Sherwin-Williams or Benjamin Moore, and they ship overnight. So if you order them before midnight, they'll get to your client or your office the very next day.
That's great.
So
all right, so I have I have a trend question, and not really trends, but what do you see customers or your clients wanting as we come out of this? Like I was on a call with a designer a couple weeks ago, and I was like, it's going to be really interesting how people view open concept after spending, you know, your day in the house open concept with your kids for 2 months. But what do you think is going to happen? I mean, like what kind of rooms are people going to be looking for? What kind of furnishings do you think you see, or are you seeing shift with your customers now that you think may shift what we're doing once we're through this? Shannon?
I'm seeing a lot of simplified styling. I'm seeing a need for that because people, frankly, are doing their own cleaning and they haven't been. So they're not used to needing to dust every single fabulous tablescape item that I put on there. I did it. So we're simplifying that. And then I bet that cleanability is going to become extremely, like, knobs that have a lot of detail. That's a harder to clean knob than a smooth knob. So those kinds of things. And then, of course, performance fabrics were already raging in popularity, and things that don't off-gas, things that are healthy for the environment, and that support fair trade, and all of those principles, I think, are of real interest to people right now.
That's great. Laura, you're shaking your head. You both are. So I'll ask you first. What do you think you're going to see coming out of this? How are customer home, what are they going to want in their homes, and how's that going to change?
I see even right now that dining rooms are a big deal because people are staying home and they're cooking more. And so I've had several inquiries for that, whether it's an eat-in kitchen or a proper dining room. And they want it to be like as durable as possible because they see, man, when we're really at home, like this area is where we sit the most and eat. And so I don't want a chair that the fabric cannot be, washed or scrubbed a little bit. So I think the durability factor is there. And I also think any space in their home that's reminiscent of the outside, so a deck, a porch, patio, I think outdoor furniture is going to become like a huge thing in the coming months. I see it even right now with clients wanting to bring like the green in, even with plants and such. Like I think we're all kind of like, yearning to go outside and experience a different environment than just being stuck in our homes. And so I think, outdoor furniture is going to definitely like go up. Usually it comes around this time of the year anyway, sometimes a little bit prior to spring. But I think, come fall, people are going to want to have their whole deck set up, their whole backyard done and feeling comfortable and cozy. So I think we'll see an influx in that for sure.
Amy?
Well, I think that a couple things that I've really noticed and heard from my clients is that even going forward, I think people are going to be working from home a little bit more. I think a lot of companies are understanding even better that their employees could do part-time work from home and still be very functional. So I think that home office space is going to become really critical. I would imagine that more than 50% of households will have somebody working from home at least part of the time. So I think that finding functionality and finding places in your home that will work as a home office or a homework area or a quiet space is going to be really important. And then I think home gyms too, like having an exercise space, because none of us can go to the club right now. And I've found all sorts of great programs online that are free. So I'm doing, yoga and, circuit fitness and all sorts of different things that I never would have even thought of trying because I have to work out at home. So home gyms or places to exercise I think are going to be really important too. So that's kind of what I'm seeing.
That's great. I mean, you ladies, we could go on all day because this is such an amazing topic and you are so full of knowledge and insights. And I want to thank you so much. And I want to thank Universal for having us all.
Thanks.
Do we have any last words that you'd like to say before we wrap up? No?
I want people to know that if they're a designer who's been coming to market, you have the ability. You have the 3 key elements that it takes to do remote design, and you can be confident and you can matchmake, and vendors need us and clients need us, and we're filling an important niche at this time, and we can do it. Designers run really complicated, difficult businesses anyway, and we're bouncy and resilient, and we can do it.
That's great. That's great.
If you want some tools and resources, I created, it's up on my website under the trade tab, is a downloadable PDF. Well, it's actually a link that will take you to a hidden page on the website, but it is like tons and tons of resources, from softwares to mentors to templates to classes. Like, it's just stuff I've collected over the years that have really helped to boost my business. It's $40 and you'll have it for forever. And it's all backlinked, so it'll take you straight to all the websites. So if you need resources.
We can include a link, Laura, to that with this video link so people can see all of that begun together. I was just going to say, first of all, thank you very much for making time to do this, to all of you, and Diane for organizing this great panel. I think the other thing I was going to say is that I know, speaking on the manufacturing side of things, I think you all and what you're doing and being able to do it remotely is very, very important to what we do on a daily basis. And you know, if you feel like you need something else from people like us, you know, ask. I think we want to make sure we can give the tools and resources to you as best we can with what we have available, and whether that be imagery, whether that be samples, videos, etc. If you think of things, you know, let your sales representative know, let us know. You know, I think we want to be there to support one another as things, you know, hopefully kind of get back to normal, or whatever the new normal is. So.
And we have a bunch of questions that we didn't get to answer. So what we'll try to do after this is I will round those questions up and speak with you guys after, and we'll get that out to everybody when we throw the video up on our website, because we will share all of these, and we'll share the answers to those questions that you've had as well. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank
Thank
you. Thanks for having
guys.
us.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Bye.
Neil. Thanks, Diane.
Take care.
Bye, Amy.
Bye-bye.
So inspiring.
Very inspiring. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.